Well, let's get started, dude. You ready?
Yes, let's go. Fit in my head in the frame exactly.
Yeah, I'm really looking.
You can find it on
forward to
YouTube.
this,
Yes, Maria. It's going to be on Blue. So if you follow Blue, it'll announce it when it comes out. So if you want to rewatch it.
Yeah, you'll be able to find it anywhere. You can go subscribe to the podcast now everywhere on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those good places. But I don't remember the last episode because it was a couple of episodes ago that you were on, and it was kind of an impromptu thing that we just kind of jumped into. And genuinely, dude, I wanted an opportunity to just really kind of drop in with you and get the opportunity to learn about you. And before we get really deep and start going, I really want to acknowledge first and foremost your incredible sister. I had no flipping idea that the two of you were related. Like, it was so incredibly funny. And anyways, that's a whole other thing, but she was freaking awesome. And I'm glad that she came on the podcast as well.
Yeah, that's mad. So you didn't even know she was my sister?
I didn't. No, I had no clue, dude.
That's funny, that, mate. Well, to
Yeah,
be fair,
I posted
we look
something
absolutely
on
nothing alike, so it's no shock, really. You know what I mean? We have we're technically half siblings, so
Okay.
that's why we don't. But then again, I don't have a lot of my other siblings either, so probably one of them, possibly, but the rest of them, I really don't. I'm big and ginger, and everyone's really small, so
Yeah.
you know.
Let's go back to the beginning, dude. Where were you, where were you born? Where did you grow up? Tell me about early childhood for you, because genuinely my whole path and journey of healing and getting to the spot where I'm at has involved massive work on going back and dealing with my childhood and all the traumas and things that I hadn't ever addressed and really hadn't ever had awareness of. And so I love hearing about that incredible path of just like going from not only where we came from and what we had to endure, but getting up to the spot where we're at today. And undoubtedly where you're at today and what you're doing today has had to have come with massive, massive stuff. So let's start at the beginning.
You could definitely say that. You could definitely say, I mean, good Lord. I've experienced a lot in my life. A hell of a lot. Okay, so I was born in a place called Walsall, which is in if I'm correctly, is it the West Midlands? It's basically Birmingham, but just outside of Birmingham. It's referred to as a black country. It was an ex-coal mining place. So that's where I'm originally born. And I stayed there until I was about 11. And then from 11 to 19, I lived in Manchester. And then I came to Blackpool. Stayed here for a few years, went back to Manchester, and then came back when I was 23. And I've been here ever since. But going back to is the reason, my childhood just in general, good Lord. So, I could explain this.
What are some of the highlights that stand out to you? Like as far as on the healing path, right? The stuff that you had to overcome or get through or understand at some point later on?
Oh, there is a whole host. So I'm just going to give a trigger warning to people. So if you don't want to get triggered right now, I suggest that you probably turn off. Obviously, you're going to be listening to this into the future. Into the present, but let's not go too technical. So the things that stood out to me, generally speaking, is well, to put it in its simplest sense, my mother was young when she had us. So when she became pregnant, she was 16 with my sister, and then 17, technically 18, with me. So she was very young, and she didn't come from a very balanced background herself. She wasn't abused or anything like that. Well, by the technical sense, you wouldn't say it. But I suppose most people of that time and era, neglected would be the best way of explaining it. That children were really to be not to be heard or seen in that respect. So any kind of emotional understanding she didn't have. So her emotional capabilities, even now to some degree, are in fact of a very immature child. So it makes a lot of sense as to what I'm about to tell you. So I can tell you from this, I spent the first 3 to 4 years of my life being neglected, and in that neglect, I was forced to be locked in a room with my 2 sisters, mainly one sister. The other one, for some reason, somehow bypassed it. And in that room, we were locked in there. We were starved, so we weren't given food or even water. And then, of course, you need to go to the toilet. So what would happen? You'd bang on the door, no one would come. So you've got no choice but to urinate and defecate. And we picked a specific corner, which was directly in the room next to the bunk beds, and it was literally on the far left-hand side. And then, of course, my father would open the door and be like, "It stinks, blah 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 blah," and then he would drag us out and beat the shit out of us one by one. So he would bend me over his knee, or just fucking straight up stand me up and just beat me with the metal end of a belt buckle. They'd beat the shit out of me. And I remember one time, and it was a memory that came back when I was regressing through my trauma. I remember looking around once and looking into his eyes, and his eyes were black, and there was nothing but rage in his eyes, fucking hatred. I remember having this self-aware thought at that time, even as young as that, going back into that time period. I thought why he hated me so much, which is odd enough in itself as a memory to reflect back on. Generally speaking, they say that you don't remember those memories, but you do if you're autistic. That's the reality. We actually hold up to 70, to some people, even 80% of old neural pathways. So it makes sense that I still have that memory. Not all of those memories are intact, but some of them from very young ages I do have. When you think about that as the basis of life, that's pretty traumatic.
Were you the youngest?
No.
Where were you in the kind of, as far
Middle.
as siblings went? You were in the middle?
Yeah.
And that's like birthed until 1 to 4 years old?
1 to 3, generally
1 to
speaking.
3.
Yeah, my
Are
father
mom
left.
and dad still alive, or not still alive, but still together during that time period? Like, who are you living with?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mum would work overnight time. So she would work at a place called United Carriers, which was like a carrier system, a bit like FedEx, like an old version. So she would work nights because he was lazy. He wouldn't do anything. So he was the kind of father that didn't pay for anything. Got my mum to work. He was just a terrible father, a terrible human, and a terrible partner. You know what I mean? There are many things that I remember. Some things I may not mention, but he was legitimately like the worst kind of human being you could be to a person.
Okay.
So my mum was being abused at the exact same time. You know what I mean? She wasn't even aware of what was happening. Well, saying that, I mean, somewhat, ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Blinding herself, I suppose, in some ways. So, yeah. So she would work overnight time, and of course he would be left to look after us, and he couldn't look after us, so he locked us in a room. He'd sit there on his games, eating sweets, chocolates, and whatever crap else he was doing, just playing video games all day and neglecting us. To the point where my sister drank a bottle of pear drops. I remember watching her. I actually remember her going into the kitchen.
What are pear drops?
Pear drops is a strong disinfectant.
Okay.
So it's a cleaning chemical. I remember her literally getting it, and she was, I don't even know how old she was, to be fair. She was so young. I remember opening it and then her actually fucking drinking it. And I actually thought it was pop or something as a kid.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. She drank it, not loads of it, but drank enough. And he didn't take her to the hospital. So he called my granddad to get her to go to hospital to have her stomach pumped. And it was hours by that point that they decided to actually bring my granddad up.
Wow.
That's the kind of person he is. Yeah.
So what happened, like, I mean, obviously that's a massive amount of, I talk a lot of times about just the first 7 years of our life and how much that shapes and influences. I mean, essentially, I think the majority of the rest of our life, those first 7 years are so incredibly impactful on just how we operate, how we see ourselves, how we move through life, how we interact with other people, that foundational kind of core time period, because of how much we're just absorbing and reflecting everything that we're experiencing. What does that look like for you? Kind of after that time period, what's like 5 to 10? What are some of the repercussions that you can look back and see having that early childhood foundation built up in the way that it was? How did you see that kind of have repercussions down the road into your adolescence and teenage years?
Oh, the repercussions were horrific, because that, to be honest, that wasn't my I hate to use the word trauma, but the trauma it did not end there. That's not where it ended. It continued, and in cases it got much worse. But the repercussions from what happens to the body, like the brain is developing at that time. And let's pull back to the point that I am a high function autistic man. So I was autistic. So ADHD is something that happens when trauma is brought upon the brain. So you can have ADHD, but generally most people who have ADHD are also autistic at the same time. It's due to the sensitivity of their genes and how their body responds to the external parameters. Basically, that's what the gene expression is. Our environment stimulates and turns on and off the responses. So having what I went through gave me mass inflammation and it gave me brain damage. So that affected so many different things. You know, they used to say that I was an angry kid. And I remember blacking out. Like I used to get that fucking angry, I'd black out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could tell,
totally
like,
know what you mean.
Oh, it was fucking horrendous. I used to get pinned down. I'd do anything.
Yeah.
I remember one time, this is what happens to a child that's being abused to that level. Because obviously being the crap out of a child, mate, is horrific. And then doing it with a metal end, just pure cruelty. It makes violence something that's so much more accessible when you're experiencing it. And I remember one time, and I'll be careful on how I say this, but I remember having an argument with my sister. We used to argue all the time with my older sister. And I remember she was lying on the sofa. So the main living room door you open up to, there was a sofa to the side of it, which would have been, if you were looking through the door to go into the kitchen, it would have been on the right hand side. And my uncle was there at the same time. And I remember that she was arguing, and I just fucking lost my temper. I went into the kitchen, and the stepdad was there at the time, and I got something out of the kitchen, if you know what I'm saying, a shiny object. And he went to grab it out of my hand, I pulled out his hand, sliced hand open, and I went into kick the door through, and I went to jump and to while she was there, and luckily my uncle kicked me in the fucking head and pretty much knocked me out clean out in one kick. That was my reaction. That's how fucking damaged my brain was. That was my reaction. Like, I wanted to fucking hurt you. Do you know what I mean? And I've had that throughout my life. Like that level of like that impulse to violence. I've had that level of violence like to me. It has actually saved my life in quite a few different times. But
I want to get into this a little bit because I feel like I can relate so much to kind of the way that it manifested and expressed in my childhood. I feel like was all the repressed anger and rage that was inside, as well as the abuse that I was going through and kind of enduring in the household that I grew up in. There was just a level of, I mean, to say like walking on eggshells would kind of be an understatement most of the time.
Yeah.
And I agree that I think the brain damage component of it, the inflammation component of it, because essentially I get so addicted to adrenaline that my life just becomes this massive seeking of all of that adrenaline no matter what. So the risk behavior just continually increases all the way up through like adolescence, where it's like jumping out of trees and jumping off of roofs and having fun, just doing crazy fun stuff that we do, to like, as a teenager, I was climbing out of my car as I was driving, getting on top of it and having my buddy climb over into the driver's seat and keep driving the car while I'm on top of the car, like just escalating all of this continual risk behavior as a way to constantly seek that adrenaline and everything like that. But I very much do think that there's a component of it. It's the same kind of stuff that they're uncovering around like traumatic brain injuries and the way that that's influencing and affecting people so much today, right? Do you feel like that's a huge component of as well for you?
I think it's the main component. Yeah. So if I wouldn't have, like, as an example with my mom, you spoke about the eggshells. My mom has got serious mental health issues, very serious. Like, her ability to go from zero to incredible anger and just explosive things. There was no telltale sign. She would just fucking chuck things, smash things, rip things down, fucking scream. Like, as children, you were scared. I mean, to be fair, in some sense, I wasn't really scared of my mum because you just get used to it over time. My sisters were. You get used to it over time. But I think as a boy and having testosterone, like there was a certain point where it just shifted for me, and I was like, in my mind, because this is obviously how I was brought up, I used to think to myself like, you ain't gonna scare me because I could knock you clean out. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
she tried doing it to me once, and I pinned her up by her neck when I was 11 years old, and I made it very clear that the relationship between father, between mother and son at that point, you step that line, I will put you out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she never hit me as a child. She only did once. But it was honestly pathetic. She wasn't trying to hurt me at all. My mum's not cruel. She just has no control over her body. Like, she wasn't a cruel person. My father, on the other hand, was fucking cruel. There's a difference. My mum emotionally neglected me. Technically, my father did, but I don't hold that animosity towards my mother in that respect as well. I really, really don't. Because when you understand how this works, and like how her childhood and how
That's
that
what I
works,
want to get into.
like,
I was about to ask you, like, what do you see are some of the big things reflected that you picked up from mom and dad, and just how it came down handed down almost this generational trauma and all of these things, and the way that they just keep creating themselves over and over and over again.
Cruelty. So having that level of cruelty happen to me as a child, it led me towards wanting to be cruel to people. I wasn't. Luckily, I wasn't. But it did show up in many different ways as a child without realizing. As an example, fuck knows even know why. Even when I think about it, I still think, I mean, I understand it, but it's just mad that I did it. But my grandparents, which are my dad's parents, had like these fish, these beautiful fish, like, carps. And I literally, as a child, I must have been, I don't know, 4, 5, 3, 4, I don't know. I was young. Decided to get a stick and kill every single one of them, which doesn't make any sense why I would do that.
Yeah.
I also stabbed a hamster with a fucking pencil. But when you look at that, it's like, why are you doing that? But then again, it makes sense that when you are abused like that and you are being tortured, that you then project it outwards.
Yeah.
And as a child, you don't know any better. But as the older I got, like, those things, even though that natural propensity was there to want to fucking hurt people bad, and I had the capacity to do it, I never did it. It was always something in me. Don't do it. Don't do it. The love for people, if I was to be accurate, always outshined the hatred I could feel towards them. Because in a moment, I could be like, you know what? I love you. I don't even know what we're arguing about. Literally just like, think like that. And people think I've got a split personality disorder. It's not that. It's just my higher self has the ability to always jump in and stop my body from doing something it shouldn't do. I came here for a very specific mission, and I can't fucking do that if I'm incarcerated. Or
what
not
were
here,
teenage
technically.
years like?
Extreme impulsivity. Yeah, if you look at it from ADHD, extreme ADHD. Extreme. Well, in fact, when I was diagnosed, it was like 98 or 97%, I can't remember which one it was, out of 100, which is really high. The guy who did it is an expert in adult ADHD and autism, and he said it's the highest he's seen in 20 years. So it's extremely high.
Yeah.
He was blown away by it. It was like, what the? He felt it was like a fucking whirlwind. The guy didn't know what was going on. Do you know what I mean? I've calmed down so much by the practices that I've learned and now teach, that I'm able to actually look like, if I don't want to, look like I never even have ADHD in the first place. But yes, extreme impulsivity, as in like that thing that tells you not to do it, not there, gone, gone.
The impulse control is just gone.
Gone. I would do the maddest shit, jumping out, like, say, off buildings. I literally did that. I've done crazy shit. I was known for being a fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
I had nothing. There was two things to that. I wasn't scared of dying. Well, yeah, because I was never really alive. Do you know what I mean? I was already dead anyway, technically. Do you know what I mean? For emotionally, mentally, I was a zombie. And it created a sense of purpose for me, because I had nothing. I didn't even have my family. Like, I grew up in a home where I was being locked in a room this happened multiple times in my life, shockingly enough. You know, like I was incarcerated where they take everything out of it. Like I was in a fucking prison cell, leaving there for weeks.
When you were a teenager?
Yeah, I was a teenager, yeah.
Well, I think actually, let's go back. You said that dad left at 3 or 4 years
Correct.
old?
Yeah.
And then it's just your mom at that point, or who else is helping
For
raise?
only a tiny bit of time, yeah.
Okay.
So she met someone else, this person, which I won't mention his name, but this person, which I didn't have a dad. So there was a period which is the bridge when he left, and in that bridge I wanted my dad. So he would always promise to come and see me, but never turned up. He fucking won't turn up. So I'd sit there excited. I'd literally be on the windowsill, looking out the window, seeing this grass in front of me, the green, waiting for the car to come up, and I'd be constantly visualizing the car coming up, and I'd be there like from like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I fall asleep on the fucking windowsill, crying my eyes out because he wouldn't turn up. And he did that to me like for fucking weeks and weeks and weeks, months and months. He did it to me. And when he did fucking turn up, he didn't turn up. He came for 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? He was a fucking useless human being in that respect. And my mom then put an order against him, as in like, listen, cough, you're causing more damage kind of thing. You know what I mean? So he wasn't bothered anyway. He didn't give a shit. He fucked off and found someone else and had kids. He's done it with everyone. He just uses people until there's nothing left, impregnates them, gets money off the fucking women, gets them to work, sits on his fucking arse, does nothing, and then moves on to another person. He is just a fucking waste of. If you were shot up his fucking mum's leg, it would have been a better thing. The only thing bad about that is I wouldn't exist. So technically in this body, but that's the truth. I mean, some people are like that. I mean, of course, that's from the hurt child perspective. But like, you look at his life, and then the things that I've learned about him and seen, as in like I've seen through connecting, that makes a lot of sense. Like, that is a learned behavior that didn't randomly just appear. You're not born that way. So what made him that way? And then when you look at it, it's actually quite easy to be seen. You know what I mean?
I see a lot of it through because it's been a lot of what I've been not just recently. I mean, my whole process of just unpacking all of that stuff from my childhood and seeing it from all of these different perspectives. And I think there's a component of it where it's very important to be in the part of it where you're like looking at it through the lens of what it was actually like as a child to go through those experiences, and honoring that part and allowing that part to be seen and validated and all of those kind of different things. But I think there's another layer to it where you do have to do that other part of it where you're looking at it through that lens of like, a lot of what I see it through is coping mechanisms and survival mechanisms. And so I can see how both my parents and their childhoods and the houses that they grew up in and the way that my grandparents on both sides were, and the way that would have shaped and molded the way that my parents then would end up raising us. I've got mental illness on both sides of the family. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a level of like depression, but there's bipolar and manic and all sorts of different ends of the spectrum on both sides of the family, as well as a whole bunch of just repressed trauma and abuse and family secrets and all sorts of different stuff interwoven in conjunction with a bunch of just stuff to make a perfect mix where, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense why mom and dad would turn out the way that they are and then raise kids the way that they raised kids. Because I can see, I've got 4 kids myself, and I can see how all of the ways that I navigated, they're adults now, they're older. My youngest is 19, but looking back and seeing how I managed my mental health and my emotional health and my emotional immaturity when I was a young dad, and those coping mechanisms directly coming from my childhood and survival mechanisms that it's a maladaptive coping mechanism childhood that eventually manifests in adulthood. And I can see those same things in my parents where like my dad is essentially, abandoning us and gone half the week and not really present when he is home half the other week. And my mom is just this incredibly kind of covert, narcissistic, incredibly, insane person. And then seeing all of that trickling down, and again, how it manifests and show up in my everyday life, just from that lens and perspective of my nervous system is activated. How do I regulate that? And if I'm not aware of what those nervous system regulation techniques or coping mechanisms are, then they're going to be those funky maladaptive ones that developed in childhood when I was trying to survive really unsafe environments.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. You got to do what is necessary to you at the time. And some of those things they just aren't great. As you say, maladaptive. Some of them aren't great. But, as I've said many times in the work that I do, the things that once saved you are now killing you if you don't deal with them. Like, as an example, a maladaptive thing for me was aggression. I'm not an aggressive person. Technically I am, but I'm not. I'm full of love. Too loving sometimes, I suppose you could say. So I learnt that when you're aggressive and you use that aggression, people tend to leave you the fuck alone. Do you know what I mean? So I had to do things that were extreme to people to stop them trying to hurt me. And that's not what I want to do. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. So one of the things which technically still plagues my mind from time to time is using that hyper aggression, that violence as a way of controlling the situation to fulfill amount of control. My mind goes, well, if I go to a place and I think, oh, I feel uncomfortable, well, if I wanted to, I could fuck you up. Do you know what I mean? Which is not a great
100%.
way of looking at things, but that's my
It's
mind
a terrible
goes.
thing, dude. I had two older brothers. And so what happened was all of the repressed everything that was going on in my house came out in the manifestation of us just beating the shit out of each other. So there was just a certain level of violence that we existed in as kids that gets chalked up to like, that's just how boys are, and it's roughhousing and it's fighting and it's brothers. And I can see it from that lens and from that perspective as well. But then there's this huge component that nobody's acknowledging where it's just all of these little, boys who have all of this anger and no release valve for it because of everything that's taking place, and then just internalizing that either on each other or completely demolishing our house. Like every single door in our house had holes in it because we would sit behind the door blocking it so that we weren't getting attacked by whoever it was at the moment. And then the other person would sit on the other side punching and kicking, trying to get into the door. Do you know what I mean? It was just all of this anger and violence having to come out. And I think a lot of that is also all of the issues that we have when it comes to masculinity and the way that we handle. I mean, obviously you've got some extreme edges of it with the abuse that you had to go through in your childhood, but there's also all of the programming that comes in conjunction with it in regards to just how men are allowed to express emotions and process things. And anger oftentimes is the only one that's going to protect us because it's what's coming at us. I was the youngest, so I was constantly in reaction to everything when really I just wanted to hang out with my brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as a bit of a perspective for me, I was brought up in violent places. So it wasn't just violence. Violence from a young age came from the home, like from my father. After that, my mum was never violent. She's not a violent person. I mean, she's a fucking nutter at times, but very manic and just bouts of like what people refer to as schizophrenia, or just goes through crazy loops. He looks, to be honest, if I was being real, it's borderline personality with bipolar, 100%. Okay. But
was it
I don't feel
untreated?
It's too. No, she doesn't think she has an issue.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when she didn't mean to do what she did, but she did what she did. But then you're also talking covert narcissism as well, like, and just sometimes straight out narcissistic.
Yeah.
So, but then again, like I said, it's how she was brought up, because you see those kind of things played out in my family from her side. So the violence came from outside. I came from very violent places, and I had no choice. For some reason I was a target. And I suppose, say some reason, I'm ginger. So in the UK, that it basically means you're going to get bullied. That's basically it. You know what I mean? And because I am soft and people can look at me straight away and know I'm soft, I'm clearly a soft, kind person. Well, that automatically puts you as a target in life. So I learned very early on, after being brutally bullied by a group of teenagers at the time, when I was about 8 years old. And they were like going from like 12, 13, 14, 15. They're all sisters, as well as other people as well. And they used to just brutally bully me. I'm talking like, you know, not to go too far into it, but like crazy shit, mate. Like pinning me up, trying to choke me unconscious and spitting in my eyes, kicking me in the bollocks. You know what I mean? Like beating the fuck out of me. I was petrified of these people, and I couldn't fucking get away from it. Do you know what I mean? I used to get kicked out. Mum was like, defend yourself kind of thing. It's just girls kind of thing. Fucking kick me out. Yeah.
Wow.
I'd be going around trying to survive all day so I can go home. And then they just fucking appear out of nowhere, and the dread would run through your body like a lightning bolt. Oh, fuck. You can't run because they outrun you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You can't fight back because they're just going to hurt you more. Do you know what I mean? That's what you thought. So I remember just getting pinned up against a wall, literally trying to choke me unconscious, like fucking, like trying to pick me off my fucking body. You know what I mean? Choke me unconscious, spitting in my face, grabbing me by the fucking dick and balls and like fucking, oh, honestly, it was wild, man. It was wild. Punched me in the stomach, punched me in the face. There's fucking nothing I could do about it. You know what I mean? And then one day it just snapped. They were behind me. They were talking shit, throwing things off the back of my head and shit like that. One of them pushed me. I just went bang. Something just went bang inside my brain. That fear of that confrontation just turned around, and I beat the fuck out of all of them. Just fucking went for it. And then he just changed. That just changed. And then when anyone showed aggression or violence towards me, I felt threatened, it would just go bang, and I'd just take you out. Simple as that. And it was just like fluid, like water. Time slows down. Like there's no anger, there's no aggression, like none of that. It just goes, I just see everything in slow motion. It's honestly, it's like being in the fucking Matrix. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. I have no control over it. It takes over. I'm watching it happen, and I just beat the fuck out of people.
Do you remember it afterwards?
I don't black out.
You don't black out?
No, I'm completely calm. So that's the thing. Like with people, you get angry, don't you? Because you need to roll yourself up. I'm like, no, it goes the opposite way. I'm scared. I'm adrenaline pumping. Yeah, I'm scared. But the moment you do something that I feel it's a threat to me, to my brain, that you're telling me that you want to kill me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my response is, I'm going to do that before you do that to me. So it just goes bonk and switches. And only when they show signs of weakness does it pull me back into my body to recognize it, to stop it. Do you know what I mean? But it would just takes over. Literally, I just go through people like a chainsaw.
So how has this because obviously we can see the correlation and connection to that behavior and actions and the way that it's manifesting because of your childhood, obviously, and your father and growing up in that way. What's some of the things that eventually start to shift and change for you? Like when does some of these things start to get to the point where because I think that's what happens, right? We get to the point where we're forced to change or not, right? There's obviously another outcome. There's another way to go, and some people choose to go that way, and there's no shade or shame or anything. I have no judgment around any choice or decision that anybody ever makes. But I think that a lot of times, especially when you come from trauma and you have a really difficult childhood, the path out of that childhood oftentimes takes you to some really dark places. So what did it look like for you, dude? Especially when you're in your 20s and just kind of trying to navigate the process.
Well, for the violent side, which has always plagued me throughout my life, always plagued me. Oh my God, always plagued me. It changed for me. So in my mind, I wanted to do MMA. So I've done boxing, done MMA. I've done that kind of stuff. I'm naturally very, very talented with that kind of stuff. I've got time and dexterity. I just naturally have it. Whatever it takes to be a fighter, it's just there. It's just in me. Do you know what I mean? So I was saying to my partner, I was like, at the time I wanted to get into music, so there was this sensual, beautiful, poetic side of me. Do you know what I mean? And then the other side of me was like, I want to you up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I have to stop myself from putting people to sleep all the fucking time. So why don't I just do it as a sport? And I started training for a fight. It was this white collar fight, and it was a weird dynamic because I'm not a small person. So at the time I was about 17.5 stone. So that puts me around about 240. And
how tall are you?
Naturally 6 foot.
Okay.
So I'm naturally very, very strong, and I hit really fucking hard. So I just have it. It's just in me. I'm just a very explosive person. And so my weight class is heavyweight. And there was only 2 people that were heavyweights that were there. And both of them couldn't punch the weight of a fucking paper bag. So I would have to fight one of those. And that wouldn't have went well.
Yeah.
So I felt what it was like. Because I remember I was sparring with this guy. And I literally just checked left hooked him. So it's when you lean in, you slip there straight over the side and bang, hit him with a left hook. And it wasn't hard. It was his sparring. He dropped down. I dropped him. And then you go on top as in like to simulate the, the ground and pound. And bro, the way he looked at me from the side of him like that, he looked like a little fucking kid, bro. It took everything out of me.
Yeah.
It suddenly just registered for the first time in my mind. I don't want to do this. This is not me. I don't want to hurt people. And I remember saying to myself, it was this massive realization. I am not going to beat people up or get beaten up to satisfy you motherfuckers watching in the crowd. You can fuck right off. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a fucking animal. And that was it. I was done. I just never bothered afterwards. I was like, fuck that. Left.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing it.
That's crazy,
I'm not
dude.
doing it. It switched. But it's mad, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
mad to think like that. And then when it showed me that it was a version of me that takes over, like the ego or the trauma, so to speak, I ended up getting into a bar fight, which was nothing to do with me. I was defending somebody, and the story is basically this. I'll say it really, really simple. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I worked at the time at a hotel. This guy was a young guy, 23, I think he was. I was about 26, 27 at the time. And his father came down. So his father was from down south, which is down in the London area. And obviously lived in Blackpool, which is towards the north, so to speak. So his father comes up to speak to him and talk to him over the weekend. They go for drinks. In England, people drink a lot, generally speaking. So we went
Not
out
over
for a
here in
couple
the
of bars.
US.
So we went out to a few bars, and I don't like going out for that simple reason, because I'm on edge.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put myself in that situation. Do you know what I mean? People never bother with me. They never have done. I've had to defend so many friends, but people never bother with me. It's because I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to walk around like I've got a big dick. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm just a very humble person. I try to keep myself very quiet. And his father had, I don't know anymore, but had a brain tumor.
Okay.
So I remember just being drunk, of course, stood outside, and outside this club, and there's fucking people everywhere, hundreds of fucking people everywhere. And I'm there talking to somebody, and all of a sudden I see his father getting pushed. So they're directly in front of me. So I'm here, the guy's there, the father's there, and then the young lad's there. And then I see the young lad and this guy going at it, and this guy was fucking massive. He's huge. He's bigger than me, like 6'3", 6'4". I don't know. He's fucking bigger than me. And he looked like a bodybuilder. Do you know what I mean? But the ones that fucking, juice up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Wearing this tight white top on. And I'm there at 6 foot. Do you know what I mean? I look like about 4 foot because I'm really stocky. So I don't look big at all. I look like I'm tiny, honestly. I look like a fucking dwarf. So I'm there and I'm like, okay, so what the fuck's going on? They're both at each other. And then they somehow calm it down. And then I go to the guy because I can see he's about to do it again. So listen, please don't do that. Don't do that. Come on, man. There's no need to do this kind of thing. Trying to reason with him. And I end up talking to him. He's coked out of his brain, bro, pissed and coked, and jaws can go and everything like that. And he's like, oh, you sound guy, you're a nice guy. Sound means you're basically just a nice guy. And he shakes my hand, I'm like, yeah, start talking. And all of a sudden he just switches. Then goes to push him again. But this time I push him out of the way because I'm like, this guy's got a fucking brain tumor, man. Like, you could kill this man.
Yeah.
You could kill him. His dad was tiny, mate. You're talking best part of 130, 140 pounds. It was tiny. Like, he was like me beating a toddler. Do you know what I mean? In comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So I push him and I say, listen, bro, step back kind of thing. And he goes, right then, you can fucking have it instead. And punch me in the face. So he punched me. And of course, as soon as he did that, I was like, grabbed him straight away by his fucking top, pulled him in, bang, bang, bang. Fucking knocked his ass down. Literally one hand, literally fucking knocked his ass down. And then as I'm going down, because I'm pissed at my fucking face, I knock him out. I'm pissed. So I'm going down like, fucking hell. He bounces off the ground, wakes up, and tries to get on top of me to mount me. which is like in MMA. So yeah, I must have some training. Tried to mount me, but of course I've done MMA, so I know how to get people off out the mount. So he tries to do that, throw him off the mount and get a mount onto him. So I'm on top of him then, on high guard, high mount. So it's like high guard. So you're basically sitting on the chest and you're raining down punches on the head. So I'm there just going bang, bang, punching him, and his fucking hands covering his face. And my brain was like, in pure clarity, if he's not going to move his hand, break his hand through his face. So I can hear him saying to me, I'm done, please stop. And blood's coming out his fucking face, and I can hear him screaming, but I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to go through his hands. Now I'm going to break your hands to get through to your skull. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to start dropping elbows really hard into his fucking head. And luckily, the guy, the son, pulled me off him. And as that happened, there was a separation. Whatever that was that did that wasn't me. It was like the greatest shift I'd ever seen. It wasn't me. Whatever that was, that took possession over me. It was.
At what point in life
the trauma.
Is this? That's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, it just sounds like that. Because that's why I asked you if you remember these experiences, because it really does sound like that blackout moment. And I recognize, like, because I've had those experiences where you're in such a, like, you talk about it from that perspective of, again, like being in that activated fight or flight response. When you're in the fight end of that response and your nervous system is reacting and responding like it's a life or death experience, time slows down. It gets really wonky, where suddenly it's like you see things very differently, you hear things very differently. It does feel matrixy at times, because it's like all of the senses that are tapped in and tuned on in order to keep you safe are like super vibrant and alive and pumping all of this stuff through your system, right? But it's like managing, learning how to, like, it's not even managing, because that's like, I feel like an extreme edge of like the nervous system activation when you're so triggered into that fight or flight response. I'm always trying to look at it through the lens of like, how do we catch it before we get to that pagan red line end of it, right? But what does it look like for you? Like, how do you go from those extremes, dude, to getting to this?
Being shown stuff like that, it's never left my mind, because I've had to do extreme stuff like that before and worse to save myself.
Mm-hmm.
I came from, like I said, I lived in very, very rough and violent places where if you did not stand up for yourself and you did not, I've always said this, and this is how I say things, because it's the fucking truth. The only difference between life and death in a fight situation is how far are you willing to go. That's it. 99% of people are not willing to go that far. I am. If you put me in that situation where it's me or you, I will fucking kill you. That's it. That's it. And I won't have any fucking control over it. It will happen by itself. This thing that I've created will just fucking engage, and it'll just take over. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I believe, that's what's happening to so many people when they refer to a possession. But once I got shown it, and I got shown it in such the weirdest way, like seeing the separation. I've fucking seen the separation. I was so compos mentis.
Keep going.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw the separation. It was like I can only explain it was like a blue, like if there was like a projection of me, like a blue ethereal projection, blue and white, it was like fucking that. It was like that. And I remember just coming around and being boom, right back into reality, not in focus mode, kill mode. And everyone around me, there were people with these massive, huge windows, like 6-7 feet windows in front of me from this club, and they're all banging on the window going, fucking yeah! Like it was a fucking UFC event or something. People around me were going, that was sick. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? You're all fucking animals. That's what I was thinking in my brain. And I remember the thing that shifted me, that tied it all together. There was these two bouncers that were on the club. That was that. These two bouncers. And I saw this bouncer. I've been there many, many years. Really nice guy. And he's never once been ever remotely bothered by me. He looked like a very confident man. When I fucked this guy up and I smashed him like he was nothing, I saw nothing but fear in his eyes. He was fucking scared of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that shocked me. That really shocked me. Because if it had that response to him, like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What was that? And that's what it just took me back. And just the way people were responding, like, come on, what's me fucking shake a hand and shit? Like, yeah, granted, he fucking deserved it. He did, because he was, from what I found out afterwards, he's known for getting pissed, taking coke, and beating people up.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So he just came across somebody that's just, you know, unfortunately, sometimes you roll the dice and sometimes you win, sometimes you fucking lose. you just fuck with the wrong person. That's it. I'm not saying I'm hard remotely, because anyone can get fucking knocked out. But I just know that where there's a will, there's a way. The mind is always the most powerful thing. You'd have to fucking kill me to stop me. Do you know what I mean? So with someone like that, he was never going to win because he's a weak man. He gave up. He could have fucking carried on fighting until he went out cold, but he didn't. He showed up like a fucking coward. So,
you know,
that's the mind, isn't it?
Earlier you mentioned that sometimes I don't remember the exact way that you verbalized it, but it's like at some point the stuff that keeps you alive becomes the thing that, you know, like at one point
kills you.
Yeah. And I can see this anger and rage, like, because we see it all the time where people who aren't able to tame that beast, who aren't able to actually heal and regulate and mature and get to the spot where they're able to process the trauma that they experienced that ended up cultivating that protective mechanism where they're so full of that anger and rage because that's all that they know, right? We see that and what that manifests as in our society. But for you, when you're going through the process of like, just what are some of the things that helped you learn how to regulate so that you're no longer at the mercy of just that triggered little boy inside that nervous system that's just responding to everything through violence?
Yeah, first of all, to put it in its simplest sense, if you're talking about spiritual sense, is to recognize that I am not it. Like, that is something that I created to survive. That is not me, does not represent me. Me in my purest sense is just pure love. I'm a very loving person. People see me all the time on live. The feeling you get from me is the truth of who I am. I'm very kind, very loving, calm, and compassionate person. I really am. Second of all is to recognize and respect yourself. The ego is something that is created. You cannot destroy it. It is something that is created. You are, well, a part of you is the ego. When it is created, it is a separate entity. You are co-inhabiting with the body. So when you understand that, you are not only leading this life as an experience for yourself, but for your ego. You must respect yourself. So listening to myself and recognizing when I can be around people or can't be around people is a massive thing. Doing things to regulate myself, eating good food, staying away from alcohol as an example, exercising, meditating, grounding, breath work. These things temper the nervous system, which gives me a much longer fuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So lengthening that fuse by doing things and respecting the body and respecting the ego and having respect for yourself is what stops that. But if that fuse is to shorten and I don't do those things I'm meant to do, that's a very quick fucking, a quick road to disaster. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So the only reason I'm able to do what I do is because I've learned to lengthen that. And when it goes down even a bit, I understand straight away and do things to bring the fuse back up again. So I don't, if it does get fucking lit, because some people do fucking test my patience, that I'm not quick to explode. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, to deny the fact that it is there is a lie. It's a lie. Like, it's just a fact that if you put me in a situation where I have to defend myself, you will see a side of me that people are not going to want to see. And that's the same with anyone. People don't understand what they're capable of because they deny the darkness that's inside them. I am not denying it. I am not shying away from it, and I am not fucking scared of it. I understand what I'm capable of. I've done these things. But I know that's not me. So if I can do everything that I can to avoid that, and it still happens, because I have to defend myself, I will hold no judgment on that. If you force me into that situation, and that is a consequence of your actions, I've done everything I can to avoid it. But if I can't avoid it, then I will do precisely what is necessary at that time. And that's authenticity. Like the concept of people talking about fucking Jesus when they go, if you get slapped off the other cheek, that's not what he said. And at the time, it was actually in reference to if you get slapped or attacked, often the other cheek was a sign of disrespect. Is fuck you. That's basically what he was saying. So if I have to defend myself mentally, physically, verbally, I will do that if I believe it is necessary. If you provoke it within me and I feel obliged to do so, and it's by my own doing, not because I'm unhinged or just talking shit for the sake of it, and I fucking choose to say that, that's my choice. That's a consequence of your actions, not mine. I'm just willing to teach the lesson.
Where does all your connection to, you know, whatever it is for you, and again, I don't even really know what it is for you because we haven't really talked about it before, but like your connection to source, your connection to energy, spirituality, where does that play a role along the way of all of these different things that you've, you know, had to navigate and experience? Is it stuff that you were aware of back in childhood, or? Semi.
I mean, technically speaking, I've always been semi-conscious as a child. So the reason why I came here, if I give you a short explanation as to why I'm here, I came here to teach people and to show people that no matter how hard life is or how dark it can be, that there is always a way, and that hope is the key to opening up the possibility of change. That is why I came here. That is why I do what I do. You must learn to respect yourself, because the body you're in, the entity that you have created, the ego, these are things that have consciousness. These things want to experience. The mind, body, and soul is right there. The higher self, the lower self, the ego, and then the body. It's a tandem between all three. You must learn to respect and find the balance in between all. Learn to negotiate. If you try to act purely out of the higher self, your body will degrade. Your mind will degrade. If you act purely out of the body, the soul cannot connect. The body eventually starts to degrade. Like, you have to be able to access all and respect all. That's why I say to people, when you try people pleasing, please your fucking self first. Because you're a person too. The body you're in can't turn around to you and fucking jump out and go, wait a minute, what about me today? You told me I was going to rest. It can't do that, but it sends you signals as anxiety. It sends you signals of these emotions and feelings. It makes you feel depressed when you're fucking pushing too hard. Calm down. I need to rest, man. Fuck me. Do you know what I mean? Your ego will talk to you if you don't respect it. It'll start talking more and more shit. You've got to learn to listen to your body, because it's always talking to you. Your ego is always talking to you. Don't ignore it. Don't deny it. Pay attention to it, because that is do you know what? One of the greatest gifts that God has ever given you as a soul in this body is to hear the ego as a voice. That's your subconscious mind being manifested. If you don't know what you need to do, listen to your fucking thoughts, because they tell you all the goddamn time what to do. That guy's a cunt. Why? Because he did this and that. But why? Because, well, that happened to me as a child. Awesome. So we need to work on that thing with our childhood. Fantastic. Brilliant. It's right there, but you deny it because people are like, well, the issue must be outside of self. Fucking shut your mouth.
Triggers are always going
Calm
to
your fucking
reflect
mind.
Internal.
It does, yeah. I've said this a million times. If you can just shut your mouth, take away all distractions, and go somewhere where it makes you feel peaceful, even if it's in your own room, in your locker room, I don't care what it is, put headphones on, don't give a fuck, and listen to your own self and pay attention to the feelings of your body, that is the fastest way to finding true sense of spirituality within inside yourself. Spirit in reality, truly finding yourself present in the moment. There is nothing else. I may trigger things in you to spark that journey, that thought process, but there is no way of finding God or finding peace without shutting your mouth, stand away from distractions, and being as present as possible. That's it. That's the key to spirituality. If you didn't know the key, there you go. It really is.
When did you start kind of living in harmony with it? When did you start prioritizing your connection with it? When did you start kind of moving in that direction of things?
This year.
Earlier this year?
Yeah. So it took a long time to untangle not only trauma, but belief systems that held a lot of blockages. And of course, I don't have anyone else that does what I do. So to try and find those on that deep level requires somebody not only with high spiritual connection, but the ability to actually speak about it and articulate it in a way that's easily understood. So a lot of people use a lot of terminologies, but they don't truly know what the fuck they're talking about. They've heard someone else say it and just repeat it. So for me, I also learned that in terms of like even paying for psychiatrists and those people, they say a lot of different terms, but don't truly understand how they all interact or entwine. So when I ask a question, I knew that this linked to something else, but yet the person I was talking to didn't know. So I test them and realize you don't actually know what you're talking about. You've learned a way to do it and been told this is the way to do it and haven't really thought past that. How the fuck are you going to help me? Because every person is individual. So I didn't have anyone else to have that deeper understanding of how to blend psychology and biology into spirituality. So I had to learn it myself. I had to understand that, the people just do not have an understanding like they think they do. I hear people talk about this stuff all the time, and they're speaking from the unconscious mind. They're not actually present when they're talking. They're not truly listening to what they're saying. They're just fucking talking. Do you know what I mean? The amount of times I've heard people say stuff, I'm like, you're wrong. Because if you sat there for a moment and felt what you were saying, you'd recognize you're wrong. It doesn't resonate. That's why you come off as inauthentic. That's why people don't understand what the fuck you're on about, because you're not saying things that you truly actually know. You're saying what you believe, and you can't believe in something that you know. You don't believe your mom, dad, your mom and fucking dad. Do you know what I mean? I don't believe I'm holding a card. I fucking know I am. You know what I mean? That knowing, it comes from truly sitting with yourself and truly feeling it from the inside out. Believing is outside in, knowing is inside out. So when I speak, I don't believe. Fuck, you know what I believe? I know. I speak on what I know. And if I don't know, then I shut my mouth or I tell you I don't know. Simple as that. Belief here it has no point here for me. Yeah. It's irrelevant. It's a doubt. It's negative.
So you said that things really started shifting for you this year.
Yeah, man.
What does that look like? What is it that has started shifting up for you? Oh. This year's been a huge shift for me too, man. Like this year alone has just been probably one of the most pivotal things that I've had in the last 10 or 15 years, as far as my life goes. This year alone has just been one of the most profound shifting experiences of life for me. I feel like I've gone through a massive transformation over the last, quite literally pretty much the last year. It was right around this time last year when it started.
Yeah, it's, this year for me, to answer the question, because there is a broad way of looking at it, but to answer it in a more direct way, this year was honestly coming to terms with a deep, hidden trauma that I didn't even know was the underpinning of many things that were going wrong for me. I couldn't figure it out. And, as somebody who is an intellectual, I'll put it in that perspective, I'm not somebody that's easily fooled. I find patterns in everything, and I couldn't find the pattern, and it frustrated the living shit out of me. And then I recognized part of the pattern is trying to find the pattern. That in that sense of trying to control something, you actually stifle it from naturally appearing.
Yeah.
So when you actually stop trying to find it, it finds you. It's like, fucking hell, shock horror. Do you know what I mean? I learned to realize that in this life, the biggest shift that I've made specifically, even over the last couple of weeks as well, but the biggest one this year is to let go of control. Everything that could happen and ever will happen has already happened. So what the fuck am I trying to control? The only thing you can control is be as present as possible and be as honest and authentic in the moment as possible. I had a theory at one point that fate was something that we create ourselves on subconscious patterns being built out. And then I realized, well, very humbly or shown by the universe, that's not true. I said, I never say this. I never test the universe, but I said, right, okay, if you want me to go back on live and start teaching people, because I was going to walk away from it, to be honest, mate. I was going to walk away and live a normal life. Well, at least I thought I was anyway. Fucking hell. Drag me back in. And I said, okay, if that's the case, if you really, really want me to do it, and if this is what I'm meant to do, then show me 55. My fucking God. 55 appeared everywhere, fucking everywhere, but not in like, you know, you look at your phone and go, oh my God, it's 55. You know, it's a sign.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I was watching YouTube videos at random times. Like there was no logical fucking sense to it. And they'd pick up the phone and it'd be like 10:55. The clock would appear as like a reflection of the window on another video, 11:55. And I'm like, oh, fuck. My fucking internet never stops. I have one of the best internets in the UK because I can't stand internet. That's shit. And I like to have a go on the PlayStation, you know what I'm saying? So I like to, you know, at least be somewhat,
Yeah.
you know, try and actually win, but getting slaughtered by these young kids these days. So I buy good internet because that's the one thing I absolutely hate is poor internet speed, especially for watching movies and stuff. And it's fiber, so it never really cuts out. It's really stable. So fiber's very stable. And he just randomly stopped all of a sudden. I was like, the fuck? That's never happened. And then it turned off. And then I looked at the time and it was like, I think it was like 10:55 or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck? What is going on, baby? Oh my God. And it was making things freeze at 10:55. I'd click on a fucking video. My missus would call me. I'd click a look back and it would be like 12:55 or and I'm like, bro, okay, I get it. But the point I'm making to that is that how can it be subconscious programming that's naturally leading me to seeing these things if these things are happening in the most bizarre ways, which leads to one particular thing, that there is fate. And if there is fate, then the burden of responsibility is not on me because it's already happened. It's going to happen with me or without me. So either get on board and enjoy the ride or shut the fuck up and fade off into obscurity. There's no more pressure. Gone. Because what am I holding on to? Controlling what? Whatever will happen will happen. All I know is this. Pay attention, listen to your inner thoughts, your inner feelings, ask yourself questions, see how you respond to it. If you see numbers that pop up and show you as a guidance, just do it. Go on live. If it comes up to go on live, your higher self is going, come on, Marcus, let's go. Okay, no problem. Follow it. So all you have to do at that moment, just to clarify down to people, stop worrying about the future, allow it to naturally unfold, and then respond accordingly. Be present and do the best that you can do at that time because you can only ever do your best. The burden of responsibility of manifesting the future has already happened, people. It's already happened. Just go about life. This is a ride. It's like going on a fucking ride. On one of those rides, going up and going, oh, I need to climb. I need to keep climbing. Oh my God. Am I going to control when it goes down or goes left or goes right? You have no control, motherfucker. If you go right, if you say right and it goes left, it's because it was always going left, you spud. Do you know what I mean? Just chill out. It's going to go that way regardless. Take it easy. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy it. And that's what I recognized.
You've had a massive, I mean, at least from the outside looking in, right? Watching you over the last couple of months, it feels like you've had a massive growth evolution. Like what's been going on for you that I've seen you just like change in the way that you're showing up on your lives as well. It's not just kind of what you're sharing and bringing to that space, but what's been going on for you, dude?
I've let go of, honestly, I've had some horrific times over the last couple of months. Fucking diabolical in some cases. You know what I mean? Really deep fears and trauma coming up, like horrific, like a serious, like dark abandonment issues, like crying my eyes out, like horrifically. Like honestly, it was terrible, but at the same time, I was fucking buzzing. I was sat in this position talking to a friend, crying my eyes out. My eyes are fucking like crying all this shit out. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I eventually figured it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just letting it out. I was like, you know, because like I've said this before, and I know it sounds a bit crude, but you don't cry going to the toilet. It's just essential. You know, sometimes it's spicy, sometimes it's normal. You just don't cry, dear. It has to be done regardless whatever happens. So when that emotion needs to come up, sometimes it comes through beautiful, serene. Sometimes it comes out jaggedy and fucking horrible. but don't become emotionally attached to it. You're just expressing what needed to be expressed. You're in that stage of healing. So the last time I did it was about 2 weeks ago. And I woke up, I had a weird ass dream. I spoke to God, spoke to the angels, which I normally do. I do every night anyway. And I spoke to God. I asked very specifically. I never ask, listen, I want this gone. I want to heal. Whatever needs to be done, let's go. A dark night, I don't give a fuck. I've gone through that many, it's ridiculous. Let's go, full blast, both barrels. Had a dream, meeting old people, these different connections, and actually saying goodbye to people. I'm quite emotional to people and letting them go. And then I woke up in the morning, in half an hour, this beautiful Irish song pops up. As soon as I listened to it, oh my God, here comes the tears. Just started coming out. So I just started crying my eyes out, like crying. You know the kind of crying when you're in pain? It's so painful. You're like, it's like horrific. Yeah? And I just lay there like a fetus for about an hour crying.
Yeah, dude. That is so healing, brother. Like, that's huge, man. That is so healing.
Oh, fucking hell. I know. But
It's like
the
a
thing
big
is,
somatic
people
release,
like,
man.
oh, mate, it was amazing. Do you know what I mean? And then I took some mushrooms. I went walking to the beach, mate. Honestly, I was like, oh, Christ. I just had this epiphany walking down going, these are all souls that have come from different places to all come here as a human experience, to just have that experience. The same way we go to the Chichen Itza. Same way we go on these excursions. You don't know what the fuck they are. They've came there to have an experience. It's the exact same fucking thing. I was like, bro, I've been taking this shit way too serious. I was like, this is bullshit. I came here to have an experience, baby. Do you know what I mean? I came here to help people. It's within my soul to do what I do, speak the way I speak. And I picked Marcus specifically to do this job because Marcus has the ability to be so relatable because I've been through it all.
Do you think we create these avatars that we're in?
We don't. Technically, we do, but we don't at the same time. Technically, we do. So from a technical standpoint, we are the universe, hence you and I verse. Like if the universe, this is you, the universe is your reflection. So the universe always reflects. I've actually seen this as well, as in I've actually physically fucking seen it on mushrooms. So it's literally a direct reflection of yourself. So it's universe and you. So it's you and I verse. Yeah? So you, I, verse. So it's the mind, body, soul. It's the connection. It's the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. That kind of shit. The higher self, the lower self, and I suppose the body in that sense. I mean, technically you class it as the lower self or central self, present self. I don't know. It's always present, isn't it? So that's what it is. It's a reflection. Yeah, that was quite an epiphany as well, recognizing that. Well, the universe is only going to show up precisely what you need it to be at that present moment in time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing, really, because that means every bad thing and good thing that happens to you, that's actually a reflection of the signal you're actually not only sending out, but also receiving. Which I think that's actually really fascinating, because when negative things happen, we go, fucking hell, this has gone wrong, that's gone wrong. It's like, well, the universe is trying to provide you with a time to become self-aware, to recognize, to then become hyper self-aware, to then release that emotion that is stored. So that means everything that happens to you is not random. It is, in fact, divine order playing out.
Wow. What are some of the things, dude, that you feel like you're experiencing now that you haven't not only experienced before in the past, but I'm always convinced, and not convinced, but my experience is the more that I heal, the more, because I look at it through that lens of the nervous system, like the more that I'm regulated, the more that I'm grounded, the more that I'm in that connected space where I have access to all of the senses that I have capacity to connect to, right? So the more that I heal, the more that I'm able to stay grounded in my avatar in the body and the senses and everything like that, which gives me more of an ability to connect to all of the other senses that we have access to. So it's like the healing coincides with more, and I don't like the term gifts. I don't think they're gifts. I think they're just access to sensory input that we all have. And I feel like the more I heal, the more I have access to all of these other things as far as like tapping into energy and connection and having just access to source. So long story short, do you feel similarly? Do you feel like you're having more connection to not just whatever consciousness, but more things waking up inside of you in the way that you're seeing and shifting and doing things now?
In the shortest sense, yes, but I'd like to possibly give a different perspective on looking at things. They are gifts, and I'll explain this is the reason to explain like this. Life in itself is a gift. To be alive, to experience both pain and pleasure is a gift. And a gift is something to cherish and be present with. It's not something to just brush off. Like it isn't just something we're just picking up as signals. This is a real experience. You are experiencing this on multiple dimensions. It is real. Everything that happens here is happening across multiple points. Like it has profound, I want to say a profound understanding and repercussions that happen from this particular life. Like it is a gift. It really is. If you could see the way I see it, it is just fucking bliss. It's beautiful to have this experience in its entirety. And as for the body,
I completely agree. Where this experience is like life in and of itself, this human thing that we're having, I completely agree that it's totally a gift. I just think our capacity to experience the energy that we stem from and come from, that in itself isn't like a gift that each, some people get and some people don't get. I think we all have it. I think we all have the ability to tune into it and connect to it. And then I do think it's just our lived experiences and our filters and our traumas and all the things that take place in our body that shut down that nervous system, because that nervous system's sole purpose and job is to sense and keep this avatar safe, meaning it's going to be tuning into all of those experiences and all the energy and all the frequency and vibrations and everything.
I would say it's a bit of a twofold. So the twofold is this. So you're looking at it from a very logical perspective, and from that logical perspective, based on a pattern from the perceivable external world internalized, that makes a lot of sense. But there is things to note. One of those is that the gifts, as in the ability to connect and receive information, the all-knowing, or to be able to pick up other people's information and pass that through, that only comes to people who have souls that have evolved closer to the central point of consciousness. Not every soul has evolved that much. So we could say theoretically all that exists to be accessed, but not every soul has access to it. And there's two reasons as to why that is. One, they just haven't evolved, or two, it's really not essential in this life and it gets in the way of what they truly actually want to learn. So that's one thing to know. The body, 100%, like if your body is not, so the ego comes from the default mode network. If you're in fight or flight, this part of the brain flares up and it becomes all fucking consuming. You know what I mean? Technically, if you're in heightened fight or flight, so if you're in chronic, yes, but if you're in heightened, it shuts it down completely. But if you're in chronic fight or flight, then this becomes the most dominant thing. This thing never shuts the fuck up. So this is to tell you what's going on inside your body. How can you have access to the signal to receive information with other beings that could help you, your guides, or where else you're fucking communicating with, if that part of your brain is too active? Because you then won't be able to tell the difference in the two. Because for people who are not experienced and have never truly felt their ego, truly and heard it and truly felt it, and had enough experience, because it does honestly take time to know the difference between the two, you will mistaken the ego for the higher communication many times. So it takes a long time to temper that and understand it. But you can do it by using drugs, and you can do it by going into very, very deep meditation. And then when you come out of that, you're just purely in a state of bliss. But generally speaking, you have to work with it at the same time. Sometimes it talks too much.
How big of a role has psychedelics been on just the healing and the path of, waking up and going into all of these different experiences for you? They've been huge for me. Like, they've played a really integral role in my healing. And I feel like without those, I don't know if I would be where I'm at today, just because of the level of opening up that they gave me, both intellectually, spiritually, but also emotionally, and the ability to heal in certain spaces and unpack the shadow and everything like that.
Not very big for me, if I'm being completely honest. So the thing that created the biggest thing for me was actually taking ADHD medication, which actually balances out brain chemistry for somebody with ADHD. So it was actually not having the ego mind or the body consistently pulling me into the illusion. So technically, if I was normal like everyone else and I had normal brain chemistry, then this is the way I would have always been. But because of the trauma, it actually kept in the D-veil, the devil, technically to speak. But the one things that psychedelics have done, because I've only done one trip where it was, I don't know where the fuck I was, mate. I was somewhere, bro. I was fucking somewhere. Well, actually, it opened me up to the possibility of multiple things. But what I found that it did do, it caused more distraction than it actually created a solution for me. Because a lot of people don't know this, which kind of shocks me, to be fair, considering so many people are supposed to connect to the higher point, but maybe they just don't have access to the information, who the fuck knows. But mushrooms do not take you outside your body. They actually take you inside your belief systems. It comes from a deep inner knowing. So the deep inner belief systems that you have in the subconscious mind. Things can bleed in from the outside, but generally speaking, you're actually observing your internal subconscious belief system. That's why people see crazy shit when they're having bad days and stuff like that. And that's what it's showing you. It's showing those belief systems. But DMT takes you out of the body. So it takes you away from the ego. Hence the ego death with DMT. Because technically, DMT is what your body releases when you actually pass. So you're actually getting the closest you can do to actually what it actually is to experience when you pass. But from the lens of the human mind, which is designed to only take all the information and turn it into a tiny signal relative to what exists. So, everyone knows this when you do psychedelics or anything like that. So much information, you get these amazing downloads and like this incredible knowledge. And then after about a minute or two of hearing it, you go, what the fuck did they say again? Gone. It's because you can't hold all that in. Like, for you to hold it in the brain has to strip away so much of the complexity and the vibrancy of what you're hearing that it leaves you with something that is very stripped back and grain scale. So it's always very difficult to convey the true beauty of the other side, or technically the reality, because I see it like this, in like, if we say that you are here and the subconscious mind is the, I suppose the access to the metaphysical, yeah, because that's how we access through the subconscious mind. So you say the metaphysical world or the spiritual world is here, yeah, you would think theoretically this is the non-physical and this is the physical, but it's actually the other way around. This is the manifestation of the true real world manifesting itself in the physical point. But you're just experiencing it from an upside down perspective, which is fantastic, by the way, because if it was the other way around, you wouldn't fall into any of the traps. Which voids the point of doing it.
Do you remember the first time that you have cognitive awareness? Like, it's one thing to have because I'll reflect back and have awareness of this, but like the first time that you had awareness that you were tapping in and connecting to that other space, that consciousness, that source, where all of these, like you said, the other side of what I agree as well, like that's the reality. This is just the illusion. This is just the pretend part that we're creating over here on this end of the spectrum. But do you remember what it felt like, or do you have a memory of the first time that you tapped into it?
Yeah, man. Oh, my days. Shot straight out my fucking body, mate. Bang! So I was taking Elvance at the time, which I've currently started taking again because I had to wait to take Elvance again because it wasn't safe for me mentally. So believe it or not, this is the crazy part. So I'm going to tell you this for people who don't know. So be careful when you take drugs or medication. The ego is actually what protects you from being too spiritually open. So it can be the barrier between you taking on more information and it actually frying your mind, as opposed to controlling the information passing through. So when people like me, who have a very high vibration, have access to very high points of information, we don't have access to a tiny amount. I have access to everything all at once. And it is literally, that's what it feels like. So when you disengage the ego and it fucking goes punk, which is what those drugs can actually do to you if you're in high doses, which I didn't fucking know at the time, it can just dissolve in a second. And that's when you realize the truth of your nature. And that's exactly what happened. So I was told not to take, so there was a few things to note realistically, good Lord. At the time I was drinking a lot. And as the way to, because I drink over night time, class myself as not as an alcoholic, but let's be honest, it virtually is alcoholism. So in the morning, I would take the Elvance, and then I would drink 2 or 3 Monsters, which Monster Energy drinks, to stimulate my brain, because I couldn't get my brain to work, clearly, because I was drinking fucking alcohol. What the fuck do you expect? And I'm sleeping properly. So I was in a lack of sleep, and then I hyper-stimulated my brain to a really high point. And then, which is how fate works, I listened to an NDE that reminded me of what happened to me when I was 14, when I decided to remove myself. I don't remember what the person said. I just remember feeling the memory, and then, boom, the whole fucking room opened up. Imagine doing this, and then just opening up like that.
Yeah.
I could see around the back of my fucking head. Everything has auras. Everything has a fluffy field around it, which is an electromagnetic field. I could see colours, see purples, blues, pinks. A lot of it was white, to be completely honest, greens. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, oh my God. Sat in this, I had a cleaning business at the time. So I sat in this cleaning business. I sat in this person's house. Sat standing up. She got this beautiful kitchen. And she went out for a coffee, thank God for that. So she was right next to a town. She went into the town. And I was there just cleaning away, cleaning the side, and bang! And, you know, it happened. I was like, oh, fuck. Even if I wanted to stop it, there was no way of stopping it. As soon as that happened, it went boom. And then I felt my body felt my consciousness pop out of my body.
Yeah.
But it came, not going up like that. It actually came out sideways and went up like that. And I felt myself go through all the layers of the house, and then remote viewing as I'm going through the layers. Felt it from my body. And then I saw the top of the roof. I was looking at the fucking top of it I remember seeing it now, like the central piece, and it going slanting either side. And even looking at the mold and all the crap on top of the roof, thinking, fucking, that needs a clean. And then I looked up the road like that, and I was like, holy fuck, I can see. Boom! Pulled out again. Literally pulled out, and then I could see, literally, where I was, England. I could see England, and I could see but feel a silver tether connecting me to where I was. Mm-hmm. Like I knew exactly where I was, pinpoint accuracy to precisely where I was on the planet. And then I felt myself being pulled out one more time, woomph, and then I could see the whole planet, and it literally looks like a globe. I'm going to tell you. I mean, fuck knows, it could be flat, but I could see the globe. But I didn't see the sun, I didn't see the moon, I didn't see them externally. So I only saw, but then again, it could have just been my brain and how it perceives information. And I remember thinking, oh, something's behind me. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It felt like home. I turned around, boom, pulled right back into the body. Bang! I'm like, what the fuck? Like literally in the middle of this person's fucking thing. I was on the one side of this full counter. And then by the time I came back into my body, it was on the opposite side of the fucking counter. So my body just walked off by itself, which is pretty wild, to be honest. And I came back. And when I was up there's one thing that I've never forgot, and I still don't necessarily know what this is, and it's something I'm going to try and find out. I feel like I might find out soon. They showed me dots on the planet, black dots. And I could feel all these black dots on the planet. I don't know what that is, but there were black dots. I could see loads in India. I could see loads in Brazil. And I could see some in America. And I could see some in the UK. They were sporadic, but specifically India and Brazil, there was loads of black dots. I don't know what that means, but I felt everyone all at once, is what I can tell you. Mm. So I don't know what that really means. I still haven't figured that out to this day. But I remember when I came back into my body, I felt connected to absolutely everything, to the counter top, to everything, the floor, the fucking air, the molecules in the air. I swear to God, I felt absolutely everything. Luckily, very, very luckily, I had heard a podcast of a lady who was if I remember correctly, she was a neuroscientist, and she was always fascinated with strokes. And then she had one, funnily enough. And when she had this stroke, so what happens with a stroke?
I've heard this lady's story. It's incredible. Yeah. I can't remember her name. You keep talking. I'm going to pull it up so we can give her credit so people can go follow her story too.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic. And she speaks about having the stroke. And what has happened is if I remember correctly, the left side of the brain kept turning on and off. And when it would turn off, so the consciousness, the ego, when it would turn off, she became infinite and felt everything all at once. And then when it came back on again, she came right back into the body, and she was at the time trying to call, if I remember correctly, a partner or a friend. And she was trying to remember the numbers. When her ego was engaged, she remember the numbers, and then it would fucking disappear 15 minutes. And she'd be like, I'm everything all at once, baby, floating in the fucking abyss. Yeah. And then she'd come back in, boom, she couldn't even move her hands, or everything turned off. And that's what it reminded me of with that. Whatever I did turned off the left part of the hemisphere of my brain. It fucking turned it off. Bink, straight off.
Yeah.
Cancel. Bing. So I actually felt the infinite of all that I am. And when I came back, I remember my higher self speaking through me, which at the time I didn't know what it was. And it literally said, oh my God, we're going in the wrong direction. And it showed me a vision of that we need to go backwards into going out into nature, into breath work, into people are so logically minded, so egotistical, so lost in their own source that they couldn't see they were heading towards more pain and more suffering and a world of more disconnection. And they were showing me what I needed to do to drag people back. But I felt like mother and father at that time. I felt everyone as if I was the mother and father. It was the weirdest experience, and I felt everyone all at once. And that was my first one. And for about 2 weeks, I was in what is referred to as the high gamma state. I was in true spiritual awareness, true spiritual awakening, as in like complete utter. The people and the monks, they sit there for fucking years trying to do high gamma state. I was in there for about 3 weeks. Oh my fucking days, it was incredible. Meditated, shut out my fucking body. Talking to my higher self. They showed me karma and how time works. They were showing me all these things. I literally went to walk into the bathroom, and Archangel Michael was fucking right there next to me. I was like, it was just coming out of me naturally. I looked at him and I was like, oh, hello, brother. Literally, I was like, it was the weirdest fucking thing. I remember trying to lay down and meditate, and I popped out my body and ended up in fucking hell. I don't even know where I was, mate. I ended up with a being that was black, but he wasn't black as in dark. It looked like his skin was like latex. It was fucking bizarre, in black water, and it was just enough to submerge part of his body. And I looked up as the being, because I was the being at first, and I was looking at the entire galaxy, but it was fucking tiny in comparison. Tiny, really, really small. The way if I chucked fucking paint on a wall as flickers, like it was tiny in comparison to what this being was. And then I popped out of the being, and I was like, where the fuck am I? It had no features. He wasn't wearing anything. Had no features. His eyes were closed. It was down like that. Anyway, and then I literally was like, what the fuck? And then I got pulled into darkness. And when I got pulled into that darkness, there was something in there which has unnerved me to this day. And it unnerved me more when I heard someone else talk about it, and they said the exact same thing. When I was in the darkness, I was floating around in the infinite of the blackness. Now, the blackness exists past the point where all knowing is. So everything you know about the universe that you're told exists within a select spectrum of consciousness. There is a blackness, there is a darkness that exists past that point, where we all come from, technically speaking. That's the true energy source. It's actually not light, it's actually darkness, believe it or not, but it's like an inky black. It's hard to explain. And I was in there floating around, and I remember seeing in the distance, it was fucking so bizarre. It was like it's like light blue, baby blue, electric lightning, but it had rocks around it, and the rocks were. It was like it pulled these rocks to it, and it was gravitating and moving around. Like I could hear it, and I could see lightning in the fucking center of this ball, whatever the fuck it was. And I'm going, what the fuck is that? So of course I'm off, mate. Before that point, my body vibrated. I think that's the part I didn't mention, which I know what that is now, but I didn't know then. I astral projected. So when your body vibrates violently.
When did this happen?
When did 2022.
This happen? Okay.
No,
by the way,
start of 2023.
Thank you, Prism. It's Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor. She's got a great TED Talks. That's the neuroscientist who had the stroke and was able to like cognitively have awareness of what was happening. It's just fascinating, her story. You can go and watch it. But so you astral travel in 22. Is that something that you
23.
still 23? do you still feel like you have those experiences? Have you had more of those experiences since? Are you tapping into that
I've
space
stopped
consistently now? You've stopped
because
it now?
I wasn't mentally well.
Okay.
I wasn't well enough. So when how do I explain this? When you go into a certain, like I told you, the only way I can explain it, in fact, actually, it's a good way of explaining it. Everything you think you know about the universe, that you're told about love and everything else, exists within this here. But there are things that exist outside of it. There is a space that exists outside of it. And in that space, there are other things like this, the full spectrum of what you believe to be that exists. My soul doesn't come from this place. Most people's souls do, if not all. My soul doesn't come from there. I don't know where the fuck mine comes from, but it comes from another place like this. I've somehow found a way through that and traveled to another place. I don't know how the fuck I've done it. I know that much is about as much as I know. I don't know any more. So what exists in this space is like a no man's land. And I remember Thoth, in the story of Thoth, Thoth would astral project and he would go to the edge of the universe. And in the edge of the universe, he referred to it as the soul eater, something that destroys and eats souls, a place where you should not be, as if it's a boundary that you cannot go past. Whatever I saw did not exist in this. It existed in this.
Yeah.
I found myself on the edge, on the outside of the universe, of what we perceive the universe to be, as in the grand spectrum of frequencies. What I saw was the soul eater. I'm going to tell you two things that'll creep you the fuck out. Two things, because it is creepy as shit. One of them, when I saw it, it opened up. And the opening of it, it was black, then red lines going down it. And it was sucking my soul into it. I was being sucked into it. And I heard a voice say, if you go in here, you'll never be the same again. And then instantly knew, boom, don't do it. And I had to push with all my power to get myself out of it. Mm-hmm. And I managed to pull away from it and find a way to move out, get away from it. I knew instinctively that if I exited too soon and went back into my body, he would find me. He'd know where I was and he'd come for me again. I heard it, and I heard it trying to, how to explain it, trying to speak to me, but not in language, like within tone and frequency. And it was trying to find me, like a clicker, like in horror movies where like zombies are
Yeah.
It was trying to use sound to find me.
Echolocate.
He was trying to echolocate me, whatever the fuck it was. I had to go far enough away where I could not feel its magnetic pull. And then I was able to go back into my body. Now, I chalked that up to one hell of the creepy experience, but it's just my mind. It's just my mind, Mark. It's just my mind. Then two things happened. One, a random podcast that I came across. That motherfucker died and ended up there. And he saw the exact same thing as me. And he pretty much word for word said the exact same thing. And I was like, oh shit, well, I wasn't the only person who saw that. Another one was a guy who had schizophrenia. And he decided, he was an artist, he decided that he was going to stop taking medication and he was going to see how many drawings he could make before he inevitably himself. And one of the last ones he drew, one of the, I think it was the second or third day or something. I think he only lasted like a week. It wasn't a very long time he was alive for. Was a picture, blue, mouth open with the exact same thing, the exact same lines going down. So whatever he went into, he found that too. I don't know what it is.
There's a void. From my perspective and from my experience, I feel like I've gone through, because a lot of stuff that you've just talked about and shared. Thank you, by the way, dude. Like, I love that you're talking about and sharing all of these different things. This has been really, really awesome. And I can relate to so many of them. I've had all of these kind of out of body experiences and gone to these different places and had these different sensations and realized, for me, my experience of it all, because that unconditional love place where you're just like, oh, I mean, the bliss that exists when you drop back into the space of that unconditional love that we're all connected to is just completely, I mean, it's almost indescribable. It's really, really difficult to explain it from just the basic perspective of all of these words that we try to use to explain something as big and grand and amazing and powerful as that. But I do feel like, and not feel like, I have had experiences where it feels like I'm on this other end of the spectrum out in the space of consciousness. And there does feel like a void that exists where there's a nothingness that's just there, right? I mean, it's very much like I use that term, the nothingness. It's definitely from the never ending story and the void of the darkness and everything that's coming to get us. But I've tapped into those spaces before and had experiences where it's just like, it's what it feels like to me, because I see everything through the lens of collective consciousness, is so we're all just this individuated piece of unconditional love, having all of these experiences and creating our realities. And I feel like when I touch that void spot, that's me touching into the singularity as opposed to the collectiveness of all of us. It's me just touching in upon that spot that is just itself, just the universe, just its own little individuated piece itself that created all of this. Because I think all of this is simply just a reflection of that little tiny void individuated piece that is still just in existence. That's been my experience of it over the years as I've gone through and, you know, tapped in and connected, as well as had experiences outside of those experiences as well, like in conscious waking life and the different things that I've heard and learned and experienced. But it's crazy because it's very, like, it's a distinct different feeling than the unconditional love place. But yeah, I feel like they both exist, not just simultaneously, but it's the same thing still. Does that make sense?
You know what? You could be right, but let's just think about this.
I don't think
What
there's a
if
right
the
or wrong, dude. I don't think either one of us are right or wrong. I think it's really up to us to decide what that is for our own individual selves. Because tomorrow
We
I'll
can
think
say
something
that, but there is a
different, right?
universal right. There are things that are universal.
I forgot I was going to show you this mug. Are you ready?
Go on.
This is a mug for tonight. Check this out. This is inspiration.
It's fucking wrong skin color, but
I
I'll
broke
take
this
it.
down. This usually sits on my shelf up there, but I thought I'd break it down for tonight.
I appreciate that.
So
Well, let's
go
think
ahead.
of it like this for a second, yeah. What if the love, the unconditional love, is the same as comfort with human beings? That he says that the devil, as an example, the devil isn't the one that makes you suffer. It's the one that gives you everything you want. Therefore, you never question anything. But in that is suffering in itself, but not enough for you ever to change, because change only comes when suffering is greater than what you're doing presently right now. That's the only time you ever change. So God is the thing that makes you suffer more. Therefore, you make that shift. But what if the love is the thing that stops you from going out into the abyss and finding the truth? What about if the love actually is part of the system that keeps you trapped?
Could be. I could see that being a dynamic for sure. The thing that keeps you in the warm, comfortable place where we're all connected and cozy and warm, just in order to not go out into that void and into that abyss. I could totally see that.
But at the same time, what's so fucking bad about that? Do you know why? You know why I say this? I say I take a lot of influence from everything around me. Fortunately or unfortunately, having high pattern recognition and being able to, Christ, remember fucking everything sometimes can be somewhat of a, it can be difficult to try and live in the ignorance of things. I'm watching this TV show on Apple. I don't know if you've seen it. What's he called now? Silo.
Silo. I haven't seen that one. Not yet.
So interestingly enough, so the Silo is in sense basically that it's an underworld. Basically, they created these underworld cities that are kind of like the shape of a silo, which is circular. And the stairs are going in the center, and it goes down into layers, and they're condensed in. So a nuclear attack has happened and wiped out the fucking planet. And the only way to save human civilizations was creating these silos to keep people in there. So in the whole premise of it, the silo, people in the silo are trying to figure out, well, apparently we're supposed to only be here 200 years, and then the radiation would fall, and therefore it would be safe to go outside. So why the fuck has it been hundreds of years more? Like 500, why haven't we left? So people start to question that, and they start to think, well, what if it's beautiful outside, and the only reason they're keeping us in here is because we're easy to be controlled? That's what they think. Isn't that interesting? So what they actually think is going on the entire time, there were mass insurrections that happen multiple times where people have tried to rebel to open the door. They open the door, they release all the toxins in, and pretty much everyone's going to die if everyone goes outside. That's basically the general gist of it. Now, in the silo, the one that you're watching, spoiler if you don't want to watch it, that doesn't happen. but one of them gets released and they eventually go outside because they fucking believe that they're lying to us and it's beautiful outside, only to go outside and to find out that it's not beautiful, that it is quite literally what they said it was. You then go into another silo, and in that silo, the insurrection actually worked. And there's thousands of bodies outside where they all ran outside and died. My mind thinks like this. Maybe their safety with us as souls is recognizing that where we are right now is enough. It's enough. Because what's looking for you out there might be another place. But it might be a place where it's been completely destroyed because people or souls could just not take it for what it is.
I think there's a component to this whole thing. I think because we're always getting... I feel like we're always getting reflections of whatever that thing is, source energy, the universe, consciousness. We're getting reflections of it here in physical reality. So we're always kind of seeing it mirrored back and forth. And I think there's a really key thing that indicates the kind of like the missing key, the thing that unlocks all of it. And it's the placebo effect. We've got verifiable truth that the placebo effect is a legitimate thing that affects people, right? We can give somebody a sugar pill and they can heal and change and their body will heal. And I think that that's the missing key right there to indicate like it really, really, really matters what you believe is happening, because that's quite literally what you're creating. So it boils down to me, I think, that perspective of just like, oh, whatever I decide I want this reality to be, or whatever I believe this thing to be, or whatever I want to focus on, because it's less about how I'm focusing and manifesting. It's just quite literally like what I believe. And that becomes reality. And I think that right there is the real truth of it all. The placebo effect isn't just some sort of like imaginary thing that we chalk up. It's like, no, that's actually what's happening. Is it's very much believe it first and foremost, and then you're going to see it.
Yeah, I think, is it believing or is it knowing?
I think it's both. I think it's kind of semantics. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's the part
I don't know,
of
because
you.
belief comes from doubt. Belief is believing in is to give energy into something. So anything outside of self is never truly you. So the placebo effect in terms of believing would actually make more sense. But in the knowing, that you don't, anything in the external around you, when you understand knowing, nothing will ever convince you that you're wrong if you know the knowing inside yourself. You could have something that's so incredibly convincing in front of you, but you just fucking know it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? You can't be fooled by the knowing, but you can be fooled by the believing.
Well, I'm fooled by all of it, because I think it's an incredibly healthy thing for myself, given my circumstances in my life and my programming, that I have to question everything. Otherwise, I get to the spot where all of those ego things and the narcissism that's built into me from childhood and the programming starts to take over, where suddenly it starts to become, oh, when I think I'm dead certain on something and I start kind of shaping and molding my life around it, what I find is that I end up ending up in these places where I'm keeping myself stuck in these same thought patterns and loops and not allowing myself to question
Can I just point out something?
all of my thoughts.
I don't like to interrupt, but whenever I see stuff like this, I always like to point things out, because if there's a way to help somebody, I always lean towards that. When we use the word, when I think, now, if you don't mind me saying, I see that you're a very intelligent man and you're very cognitive. And part of the issue with being smart is that we tend to lean on that more often than not. I've let go of that part of me. I don't sit in the thinking. If I'm thinking, it's a fucking waste of my time. I know. Like, the knowing comes from, I open my mouth and I trust myself complicitly. I have no idea 99% of the time, if not more, of what the fuck I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. But I don't need to fucking know. Because it's the truth. I speak from the authenticity. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not caught in the illusion of myself. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. Whether it comes out the right way or the wrong way, fuck it. It is what it is. Life's a bitch sometimes. Sometimes you fucking score, sometimes you miss. Thinking too much and feeling too little is 100% the issue why most people fail to understand who they truly are.
I completely agree, dude. I have to remind myself constantly that if I'm in my head thinking about something, all I'm doing is I'm in fear, I'm in ego, I'm in all of those programs where I'm not going to solve any of those things. It's always about coming back down into the
But
body.
what are you trying to solve? Because as an example, like I said to you before, when you understand that everything has already happened, we know that time and space exist like that. Time is
I just see
relative.
things so completely differently. I don't think everything has already happened. I don't think we're up to the whim of just what's coming down the pike and we're just letting go and floating through it. I think
But
we're
what makes
very
you
much
think that, though?
actively creating the experience that we're having.
Yeah, but as from the ego, you would say that. But from the higher self has already knows. It already has existed. Time and space, we already know that it's a fabrication of the mind. It's not real. Like time can speed
Exactly.
up based on attention or slow down. So
I just see time as a construct of
quantum
the matrix. It just gives construct to the physical reality. It's like, hey, you're playing this game, and in this game we use time. Time is something that we use in this game. That's how I see it. So I don't see it as something that it's already happened.
When you say that about the logic,
what do you
using
mean
a
about the
logical mind, because logical mind, like as an example, you say you don't believe that to be the case, 'cause that's an element of control. You don't want it to be the case. The belief is a doubt. You don't know that. So the doubt is the fact that there is control. But if everything has already happened, which it has, because
from
how
your
can we
perspective
explain?
and from the reality that I see you creating for yourself, which I think is very much real and true for you. Like I'm 100% on board with that's exactly what Marcus experiences. And I'm 100% on board with this is what I experience over on my end of the spectrum. And both things are simultaneously real and true to the individual person that's creating them and experiencing them in that moment. I 100% agree.
That's a beautiful logical explanation. When we think
I
of it
don't
like
see it
this,
as logic. I see it as I see it as just consciousness. I see it as love. I see it as it's foolish for me to think that I'm going to play this game and think that I know what this game is, or I know what this game means, or everything that I experience in this game somehow becomes the 100% truth for everybody else that plays this game.
oh, that's not what I'm saying, and I'm also not saying that's what you're insinuating either. But what I mean is like I'm actually saying the exact same thing as you. But that's the funny part. We're just looking at it from slightly different lenses.
Right.
Like I'm saying the exact same thing. I don't think I know. In fact, I fucking don't. But that's the beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to know or wanting to control is the illusion. I cannot predict what is going to happen for me. So what's the fucking point in thinking about it? That's the whole point I'm trying to make to you. Like, if it's going to happen the way it's going to happen, and let's just say theoretically time doesn't exist like that and it's all just a load of bollocks, yeah? And that you're consciously creating your reality, you haven't been able to shift or change certain aspects of yourself already, because some things are rooted and fundamental in part of the experience that you wish to have. We don't have control over ourselves like we think we do. If you believe that to be the case, can you stop your heart with a thought? It's impossible. So there are things you can control and cannot control. And the only thing you can control is your response to a situation. That is it, which is present. That means the future and the past are fucking irrelevant. So if your response is only going to dictate whether you're going to have a good experience or a bad experience, is based on perception, then why not look at it from the perspective of neutral and go, ha, is what it is, I guess. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but majority of the time, fuck it, it is what it is. Because if that's the only response you can have, being as neutral as possible, if you take a good experience, you're going to have a bad. The higher you go, for sure as shit, the lower you're going to fall. So the more neutral you stay, the better it is for you to have an experience that you technically have more control over. But the reality is those things are going to happen anyway. Like if you walk outside right now, or as an example, you're in your house, you can't guarantee me that a plane can't come through your fucking ceiling. You don't, because you don't control those things. But you know it's not going to happen. Why? Because that's not part of the experience that you wanted. Therefore, there is pre-awareness of what is going to happen whilst you are here. That is why people can predict what is going to happen in the future, because it's already happened. Already exists. However you choose to perceive it, whether you fucking worry about it and feel with anxiety, or whether you just fucking let it go, that's going to happen. Just the condition of how you get to your end place, wherever the fuck it is, that's the only thing you control. Are you going to be happy when you die? Or you're not? Are you going to be fucking miserable or not? Are you going to learn the lessons or fucking not? Because eventually they're going to get worse. So I've learned, the biggest thing I've learned in life, let it go. Let it go. It's going to happen anyway. Let it go. Just make sure that you show up when it's needed. Just be as present as you can and just show up when it's needed. Let the thinking, all that shit fucking go, because it doesn't serve anything. It's bullshit. It's all a fucking lie. That's it. The only time you should ever be conscious of what's going on inside your brain is when you meditate and shut the fucking ego up. Then have a real conversation with your guides or your higher self, or God in my sense. Sometimes all fucking three. That's the only time. Other than that, this fucking noodle talking bollocks to me, unless it's to do a trauma response, because mans loves that, because that means I get to figure something out. Other than that, it's just irrelevant noise. So I'm asked, what the fuck am I scared of? What's the point? That's why I can jump in the ocean, even though my body's terrified, and able to find peace in it. Because if I'm going to die, I'm going to go, aren't I? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. What's the fucking point in worrying? And if I pass, brilliant. I'll let it all go and shift on to the next fucking place. Do you know what I'm saying? What's the issue? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's no point fucking worrying about it. You're just wasting it. You're wasting the present moment, the gift of taking it in at the present moment.
Yeah.
And being truly in it. You know what I mean? Too much of my life has been robbed by fear, by anticipation of the future. Fuck the future. It'll fucking come when it comes. Do you know what I'm saying? If I get up tomorrow and fucking side of my face is shut down, brilliant. Guess what? The experience has shifted. I'm going to fucking evolve with it. It's just life in it. I can't guarantee what's. I could walk out tomorrow, mate, and fall over and snap my ankle in half. I don't know. And if it happens, brilliant. I'll find a way around it and learn something from it. It's just the way that it is. Like, you can't avoid bad things happening. And some of the best things that have ever happened to me have come through the worst situations. In pain, there is true pleasure that can be found. If you can, in the pain of life, go, man, this is fucking awesome. Thank you so much for this. That determines how far you're going to go in life and how happy you're going to be. Because when I'm suffering, I'm in pain, I look up straight away and go, fucking hell. Thank you. This is fucking awesome. I'm in pain right now, but I love it. Cry my eyes out. Thank you. I love it. Thank you for this experience. There is nowhere I can have this experience and feel this direct dichotomy between both. Fucking love it. If it happens, it happens. I'm going to fucking take everything from it. I'm going to suffer. No fucking problem. Hunker down. Let's suffer, baby. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Take it for what it is. It's just an experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen when you're over the other side. You're aware of it. Fear is not held in the higher self. We come here to feel fear through the ego self. That's why they say in order to wipe yourself out, it's a fucking sin, because you're actually ending the life of two things, the body and the entity, the ego. Whilst you're here, you're playing for all three, baby. Sometimes they're playing you at the same time. It's just an experience. Let it all go. Fuck the fear. Fuck the overthinking. Let it all go. Because it don't change anything anyway.
Yeah, that was a huge part for me when I started breaking things down from that perspective of just fear and love, and seeing very often when I'm in fear, when I'm coming from fear, when I'm just both energetically, emotionally, mentally stuck in those anxious, anxiety-riddled places. That was so incredibly huge for me to just break things down and see, oh yeah, I'm in fear. That's a side of the spectrum that I no longer want to be in. And I very much saw fear as very much the illusion and the matrix. And the decision became, am I going to choose fear or am I going to choose love? Because love for me is the truth. Love for me is the only thing that really exists. So I'm always going to choose love, because anytime I'm encountering fear, seeing fear, feeling fear, it's the illusion of separation from this other thing that really is me and really is all. It's just that unconditional love component.
Well, fear is an incredible teacher. Nothing is random. Fear is incredible. Fear will teach you so much about yourself. It's one of the most incredible and potent things you can experience. Fear is good. It shows you truly not only how far you've evolved, but also aspects of yourself that you need to let go of. in order to evolve. But ultimately, fear will never go because your body is primed for fear. It's primed for survival. But fear is an incredible teacher. And it also keeps you safe. So you cannot avoid fear. Fear should be like your best friend, but it should never be the thing that takes over you. You should learn to respect it. Fear is healthy. It tells you so much about yourself. It can do incredible stuff. The key, I really feel, is this. You will always feel fear. To deny it and choose one over the other is only suppressing it, which only creates more fear. By understanding it and just going with it and listening to it, it will give you a much deeper understanding of what's going on at all times. It's a sensory input from your body that is in consistent communication with yourself. The key is to be present and not allow the fear to override the current feeling of the situation. I feel fear all the time. I felt fear before coming on live. I felt fear before having this conversation. It's brilliant. It makes me aware of the context, makes me aware of what I must do. It's a way of guiding me. So I don't reject fear. I more than accept it, but I do not allow it to override me. I use it as a tool. And all the greats of all time have done the exact same thing. They've learned that fear isn't something to fear. It's something to accept and to utilize. And I do. I accept it.
What do you feel like you're doing right now when it comes to, because again, going back to it seems like you're shifting things up lately when it comes to the way that you're showing up, not just on your lives, but the way that you're working with people and helping people. What's that look like? And what is that feeling like for you? Like, what are some of those big shifts that are taking place right now?
I had an expectation of how I should be. And it first started off with ego, how I wanted to be seen. And then it went with, well, how do I need to show up for other people? And then it went with, which is the shift now, where I don't give a fuck. Like what I show up as or what other people want me to be, I genuinely don't care. I'm going to be as present as possible and to lead with love and compassion and kindness and learn to forgive regardless. And as long as I can respond and act in that in the present moment, I will always be in alignment with who I truly am. And that's the most important thing to me. So it's regardless what other people think of me or even what I think of myself at that moment. I must show up truly as myself and not allow the fear in any way, shape or form to dictate how I should or should not respond. That's what it feels like. And helping people it's simple as this. Most people reject the ego. Most people reject the body. I'm trying to teach people that it's not about rejecting them. It's about integrating. It's about learning to listen to them and to communicate with yourself. If you can do that, you will find yourself in the same position as me, of true authenticity, free of what other people think of them. Free to be who I am, how I want to be, and how I want to respond at any moment. I'm at a point in my life, it doesn't matter where you put me. You put me in front of thousands of people, I'll speak the exact same way. It won't shift. That fear will not get to me. I will fear it. You know, I'll feel it in my body, sorry. But I will override that motherfucker and I will speak precisely as I'm supposed to speak. Controversial or not, I will speak from the fucking heart. Whether you agree with me or not, I really don't care. It's not down to me. If you see something in me you don't like, that's a reflection of you. That's your responsibility. I'm glad that I could teach you in some way, being a mirror. But I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely don't care. I love people. I tell someone to go fuck themselves and give them a cuddle afterwards. You know what I mean? I don't hold animosity like that. I love all people. I think so many people are just so beautiful, but so lost. And sometimes you need someone to slap you back into reality. And I do not take it personally. And I'm more than happy to do it for you. And that's me being authentic. And people will go, well, that's not love and light. Who the fuck told you I was love and light? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a daft thing to say. Like, if your child does something wrong, what do? You don't tell them off because you want to be love and light. These people who are I choose the word less experienced, less experienced souls in this realm, not in general because we're all equal, but less experienced in this realm, they don't know any different. So children need to be taught right and wrong that best serves and suits them to be a productive member of society. Sometimes you have to punish. Sometimes you must love. Sometimes they do something bad, you sit there and talk to them with kindness, compassion. Sometimes you say, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Sometimes it's necessary that even when people are cruel and evil to you, to be kind and loving, because maybe that's the only time that someone's ever been kind to them. Sometimes people are cruel and evil because they enjoy hurting people, because they want to project their own pain. And I pull it out to them and tell them the fucking truth, which then hurts them. Well, that's just karma, isn't it? That's just a lesson you needed to learn. You now know what it feels like to be fucking humiliated and to be pulled apart psychoanalytically from somebody else who honestly doesn't give a fuck. Isn't that the same thing they're doing?
Right.
The same thing. I'm just a teacher, mate. But regardless of whatever people think of me, I don't really care. Call me whatever you want. Call me by my name. I still don't give a fuck. I'm not Marcus. I'm a teacher, and whatever capacity I can teach, I will teach as that. Whatever you need me to be at that time, I will be that. I've done it before. I feel like I'll do it again.
Yeah, I feel like that's me at the end of the day too. I get stuck trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing on here sometimes and how I'm showing up. And when I just keep it in that space of like, I'm on this journey to help people on their path, and just looking at it through that lens of teaching and trying to support everybody in wherever they're at and seeing wherever they're at and just doing the best that I can to show up for them in that moment and validate their actual human experience. Because I think that's a huge component that we're all just really needing and desperately kind of seeking inside, is just validation and being seen. Somebody please just see me, because of all of those inner child wounds.
Absolutely. And it's good that you're taking that experience of what you've gone through. And you're obviously projecting that version of yourself, which is the same reason why I do the same thing as me. Like, as you say, to be validated, to be seen, which is why you're on here doing what you're doing, to validate other people, which validates yourself. So it's a mirror in itself. But let me just get you to look at it from a slightly different perspective. It doesn't matter what you're doing for them. It matters what you're doing for yourself, because when you are in authenticity, you're at the strongest vibration. Whatever you do, whatever you put your love and passion into, that fulfills you, ultimately fulfills them. It's not about them, it's about you. And that's the biggest thing that I learned. I am not here to serve people. I'm here to serve myself and to lead from compassion. And from that, by serving myself, I'm able to help heal people in a much more effective way. It doesn't matter turning up for them. You're turning up for yourself, brother. Do it for you. That's it.
Oh, did I have that perspective? I think I appreciate you bringing it up and speaking to it. I talk about it all the time when I'm on here. Really, it's just I've created this space for myself, and I'm showing up constantly doing what I'm doing because it's what I want to be doing, and it's because it's what feels good for me. And it's like, literally, I just wake up each day and it's like, what do I want to do today? And if it's something that I want to do for myself, specifically because it feels good for me, lights me up, brings me joy, then that's the energy that not only do I focus on, but that's also the energy that I want to bring to the space. I want to bring that type of level of self-care and self-love to the space in effort to just show up. Because I feel like anytime you're in that space and in that vibration of loving and caring about yourself, it radiates. It just radiates from you. I can feel it from people. I've got a handful of people over the course of my life that were really impactful for me and really stood out as not just people that I looked up to and mentors, but it just felt good to be around those people. And I've looked back over the course of my life and I can see it very much from that lens and perspective of where those people were very much in that vibration of love. And that's why it felt good to be around them. And so I'm constantly trying to just stay in that same place for me, for myself, and then doing the best that I can to share that out with everybody else. I have got to piss. We have been going for 2.5 hours almost. I want to, you talked about, should we do some battles? I was thinking what we could do is push pause real quick, and then we can answer some questions in the chats and do some battling and do some more stuff. Does that sound good, dude?
Yeah. Well, do you want to end the podcast? We'll put an end when you edit it. Or end it.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is...
we'll continue to battle, because there's no point putting that on YouTube is fucking pointless.
Right. Yeah. Good news about the podcast too is that it's available everywhere. So you can go subscribe now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube and everywhere else that you can find it. But I do appreciate it, man. This has been awesome. And we're going to hang out for a little bit more, but come hang out with us on Friday nights for the podcast. We record it live here on TikTok. Again, you can subscribe anywhere you're listening. We've got sponsors now too as well. So click the links down in the show notes down below if you want to support the podcast and help us grow and expand. Anything else, dude? Anything you want to throw out before we wrap up?
Nah, I'm good, mate. I think I said all I needed to say. You know, I had no anticipation. I just spoke from a state of authenticity. Could it have been more linear? Possibly from my end.
Oh my goodness, nothing ever is, dude.
But nothing ever is. No, what needed to be said, all I care about is, first of all, we had a good conversation, a good connection. Second of all, that whatever is said from both ends gives perspective and helps someone. That's it. If that's the case, then, you know, I'm sound. You know, if only one person fucking views it and it catches them, then I'm sound.
I feel like you and I, because you said it earlier, I feel like you and I are coming from the same perspective or coming from the same place, just from a different lens and in a different perspective. And I think that's what's so incredibly important, is seeking out those people that you resonate and connect with, and then just taking in their information. Anyways, we could go on and on. I got to go piss. Thank you, dude. I'll be back and we'll answer some questions and we'll do some battling.
That sounds good.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. And if you haven't yet, please take a second and subscribe to the channel and do the whole notification thing so that you don't miss when new episodes come out. Also, take a minute and please go check out some of these previous episodes. Don't forget to join in on the conversation as it happens live every Friday night on TikTok. It's your opportunity to engage, interact, and even be a part of the podcast live. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.